Good morning, everyone. I am Vanessa Faith Titiol, and I am here to discuss to you a certain topic of a junior high school, specifically grade 10 students of their third quarter class. The topic is all about using a variety of informative, persuasive, and argumentative writing techniques. So in this time of pandemic, the teachers are using technology in order to continue the teaching or continue the way of learning by all means. So, without further ado, let's go to the discussion. English Grade 10, Quarter 3. The topic is all about using a variety of informative, persuasive, and argumentative writing styles or writing techniques. So before we are going to discuss or to start our discussion, let us first read the objectives. At the end of the lesson, the students may be able to A. Identify the meaning of persuasive, informative, and argumentative writing. B. Determine some writing techniques used in persuasive, informative, and argumentative. And C. Learn to do the activities provided by the instructors. So are you familiar with the writing techniques that are mentioned? If yes, you already has an idea of what is our topic. If no, then let's find out and learn from it. What is writing? Writing is any conventional system of marks or signs that represents the utterances of a language. So writing is also a words or phrases that are written in any writing platforms. Writing is probably the most difficult and interesting activity for most students, especially when they need to meet a certain number of words for the write-ups that they need to submit. But though writing, we can benefits for this. We can add extra vocabulary and enhance our writing skills. So class, what are the three writing styles? Yes, the three writing styles are informative writing, persuasive writing, and argumentative writing. So first, let us discuss what is informative writing. Informative writing explains a specific topic. So in informative writing, you are just like narrating or you are creating narrative writing to describe or to explain a specific topic or idea. So the information included in informative text that's surrounded on facts. It means to inform others using credible sources such as evidence, facts, statistics, and other research data. Informative texts usually answer the 5 Ws. Oh, the 5 Ws. The 5 Ws are who, where, when, what, and why. It's sometimes described as how to do or accomplish something. So what are the structure of informative writing? So let's see. So the structure of informative writing are introduction, body, and conclusion. We already know this kind of structure, right? Because it is present in all kinds of writing. These three are very important on composing writings. So this is the main format of any writing. It should has an introduction, body, and an ending, which is the conclusion. So let's go now to the strategies of informative writing. In using informative writing, there are a lot of strategies that we must consider. First is identify and order key ideas. Second, write a successful conclusion. And the last one, connect ideas and turn a writing prompt into a topic sentence. Using the informative writing, you should choose or come up with a topic that interesting to both you and your reader. Your topic should not broad or too narrow. So since we are done with informative writing, let's go now to persuasive writing. The second one is persuasive writing. So what do you mean by persuasive writing? Persuasive writing is a type of writing that aims of convincing people to think, feel, or to act in writing way. Persuasive text may be in the form of essays in books, articles, newspapers, and magazines. And of course, advertisement. The writers need to combine true research with good word choice in order to make his opinions believable and get the readers to agree with him. That is the ultimate goal of persuasive writing. And this is why persuasive writing is very powerful. Here are some effective and commonly used persuasive techniques used by the writers to achieve their purpose. First is the rhetorical question. So what do you mean by rhetorical question? So this is a question that is not intended to be answered. It means it is state the obvious. So in writing persuasive techniques or persuasive writing, you should have the rhetorical question which does not answer or answer the specific question in the writings. It means you should put some obvious writing in your text. The next one is repetition. Repetition is a repeating keywords or phrases will likely make readers remembered. Repetition helps the people to put in mind what the text is all about. For just example, the brand of shampoo. So the readers will always remember the brand of that certain shampoo if the texts are always popping or repeating to view for the audience. So the third one is bandwagon. So this is kind of technique that would convince a reader to believe in an idea because the majority of everybody or everybody else believes that this kind of text is true. The fourth one is appeal to emotion. Appeal to emotion is the use of emotive language that can help sway the readers to side with the writer or to do what he says. So the writers use empathy to convince the readers to believe something or to believe her or him. The last one is appeal to authority. So the writer needs to establish himself as an authority in the topic. He is writing by using facts that would support his opinions or claims. Providing facts to back up the text or writings to ensure that the writing is somehow true. In the persuasive technique, it is evident that the writer would usually use a passionate, personal, or emotional tone when addressing the readers. So when you are going to use this kind of technique, it is always be a passionate and has an emotional tone in order to convince the readers or the audience to see or to read your writings. So the last one is argumentative writing. So argumentative writing is a type of writing wherein the writers aims to presenting an issue, either be it's a scientific, political, social, or etc. Persuasive or argumentative writing are taking side or making a stand, which he will have to support by giving proof or evidences. It is quite similar with persuasive in some aspect, but argumentative texts adopt a fair, formal, and reasonable tone, wherein the persuasive writings will using emotional tone. Hence, emotive appeal do not play a significant role. Argumentative writings takes a stand on an issue. A writer attempts to persuade readers to understand and support their point of view about a topic by stating their reasoning and providing evidences to back up. Here are some argumentative writing techniques or tips outlined. The first one is make your thesis crystal clear. So readers should be able to pinpoint immediate of what your thesis is or what your thesis is all about. The second one, use evidences to support your side. For every point you make sure you have facts to back it up in order to know if the information is factual or not. So the third one is show why the other side is weak. So the best argumentative essays are not that focuses only on their side, but those that present opposing arguments and then countering them. So the last one is use a logical connectors. So knowing the right words or phrases to use plays an important part on making sure that all the contents of the essay are organized. So let us see what is the examples or what are the examples of the three writing styles. The first one is in an informative writing or informative way. The example for this is Inspiring Nation. So in this kind of paper, which is Inspiring Nation, it shows what are the inspiring nation here in the universe. It describes how come that this nation become one of inspiring country among all of the countries in the world. The next examples is the persuasive techniques. Example of persuasive techniques is newspaper columns. So the way a news story is framed affects the reader's view on the issue. So column is referred as a recurring piece of article in a newspaper, magazine, or other publication. So writing a column writing a newspaper column requires clarity of thought, ability to communicate a message clearly and simply, and engaging style. There must not be too many ideas, but plenty of opinions. So newspaper columns must sustain its theme, building towards a climax or what we call payoff. So it is, if it wanders, the reader will wander off. So in persuasive techniques, newspaper is one of the best example for this, because the paper or the writer are persuading you to read his or her work or his or her newspaper or news. The next one is argumentative writing. So the example of argumentative writing are men and women equally emotional. So the topic turn into a question and answer it. So this kind of example set up a big question in the title of the writings or within the first few sentences. When building up the question, it must answer in your thesis statement. For example, in your title of introduction, you could pose the question, are men and women equally emotional? And then answered with your statement, women are more emotional than men. They are not equal because women can freely show their emotion both in private and in public places, while the men are best in hiding their feelings to anybody. Students need to understand that regardless of the text they are engaged with, every piece of writing has some purpose behind it. It's important that they work towards recognizing the various features of different types of writing that reveal to the reader just what the purpose is. So thank you for listening. And that's the end of our discussion for today. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy and learn something from it. So that's all for today's discussion.